Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about the fragrances that have a very festive mood. The fragrances that you can use during the holidays in case if you are going to celebrate the Christmas or New Year's Eve. So I think all these 10 fragrances will be perfect for that. I want to start with a classic, and this time this is Chanel Coco. I think this is a perfect fragrance for New Year's celebration or even Christmas celebration, but in case if you are going to, if you want to lift up your look, because I think this fragrance can perfectly match my today's look. It has a little bit of a retro vibe as well as my today's look. However, this is something that is quite modern at the same time, but it has only like a dust of retro on the top for me, and this is what I really like. The fragrance itself, I mean the juice itself, it was reformulated, and it's still quite a contemporary type of fragrance for me. It's classical, like it's timeless, I would say. What I smell here is lots and lots of clove and rose and vanilla and amber and probably patchouli. It's a bit of everything. It also has citruses, by the way. It has some animalic notes. However, everything is very well blended and very well polished, I would say. And altogether, it smells very expensive. Again, for me, this is like a classical fragrance you can wear if you want to lift up your look, if you are going out during the holidays. Amazing fragrance with a very good longevity, like very good projection, and everything is there. Like in terms of performance, this is a very good fragrance. I'm not a Chanel type of girl, but this is one of the Chanel fragrances that I love. It is gorgeous. Another classical fragrance that I think can definitely match this festive mood is from M.Micaleff, and this is M.Micaleff 20 years. This is a fragrance that was created as a fragrance to celebrate a 20 years anniversary of M.Micaleff brand, and it is really beautiful. For me, this is like a fruituli. This is a very classical type of fruituli because this is a mixture of fruity notes, like they are abstract. You cannot detect any particular fruit here, but it is fruity, mixed with lots of patchouli. It has caramel, it has some vanilla. It is again very sparkling type of fragrance. You know, these crystals, I think they reflect the sparkling character of this fragrance. The name of the fragrance suits it a lot. I think it's really an anniversary type of fragrance that you can wear to celebrate something. And for me, it's also perfect for a celebration of the Christmas or New Year's Eve. I think amazing fragrance. The next one is another classical, but this is a contemporary classic, I think, because I mean, La Vie Belle is one of the most popular fragrances that is sold worldwide, bestsellers, let's say, best-selling fragrance worldwide. But mine is in intense version, because I'm not a big fan of the classical, like the original one. I'm not a big fan of OG, but this one is something that I really love. And I think I found my perfect La Vie Belle among all the flankers. Why I like the intense version, it's not that overly sweet, though this is intense. By the way, don't mix it with Intensement. Intensement is a new one. This one is the older one. And I am afraid it was already discontinued, unfortunately. But I think among all the flankers that I had and I tried, I think this is the most beautiful for me, again, personally, for my taste. Because among all the sweetness it has, I can still detect the powdery vibes like iris. I can smell it here. It's a bit nutty, it's a bit it has a whipped cream, it's a bit creamy, but at the same time it's floral, and it's gourmand, but it's floral and classical at the same time. It's a perfect blend, I would say. It's like a very beautiful concoction, and notes here, they play and they dance, I would say. ideal fragrance, again, I think, for celebration, for festive mood, for New Year and Christmas. And it's long lasting. It has a very good, projection and sillage. And again, I love the fact that behind all the sweetness it has, I can still detect lots and lots of flowers there, and some makeup-y, notes, like powdery vibes, and many, many more. Like, there are lots of things that's going on in this fragrance, and I can smell it. Unfortunately, the OG, I cannot. All I can smell is the caramel, like lots and lots of tons of caramel and nothing else. Next fragrance also has some sort of nutty vibes, but it is more gourmand, and for me it's sweeter than La Vie Belle. Can you imagine that? Yes, I'm talking about L'Artisan Parfumeur Noir Exquis, and when I think about this fragrance, I always think about Christmas. For me, it's very Christmassy. Well, because what I can smell here is roasted chestnuts, and they are a bit smoky, like it's definitely a fireplace, and it has a little bit of coffee vibes here as well, and lots and lots of maple syrup, what I can also smell here. And because of that maple syrup, this fragrance can be really sweet. So it's sweet and nutty, it's gourmand, definitely. I cannot detect any flowers here, let's say. That's why for me this is like a purely gourmand type of fragrance. I could, by the way, include this fragrance in my previous video because I was talking about sweet and gourmand fragrances, but I wanted to save it for Christmas because for me it's more Christmassy. Like, I wanted to save it for this particular video. It's amazing. It's like if you are eating roasted chestnuts somewhere on the streets of New York or maybe Paris, and there is a fire somewhere, like you can feel the smoke, and you are drinking some sweet coffee, and this coffee mixed with the maple syrup. This is how it smells to me. It has a very good, by the way, projection, longevity, everything is good, because sometimes the Artisan Parfumeur is not that type of brand, the fragrances they have, they're more subtle, most of them, but this one in this old formula, it is really, really good in terms of the longevity and projection, and I love it. The next fragrance is also gourmand, and I love it more and more recently, especially because, I don't know, for some reason I have some sweet tooth, probably because I tried to cut some sugars in my own diet. That's why I start loving all type of gourmand fragrances, even those that before I didn't like at all. However, this one, and even the original that this fragrance was inspired by, now for me it's really attractive. I don't know, something has changed, or my taste has changed again. As I said, I became more and more gourmand fan. That's why even the original one, the Intense Cafe by Montale, is something that I would love to have in my collection, though I have this one, Delox from Tiziana Terenzi, because it's like I want more and more of this DNA, the DNA of Montale Intense Cafe. Before I was a bit scared by the musk that I could feel in Intense Cafe, but nowadays I think I used to it, or probably I even enjoy that type of musk. But here in Delox, it is still, it's pretty much like Intense Cafe, but probably the musk here is not that intense like in Intense Cafe. It's more subtle, but altogether the fragrance is still very good in terms of longevity and projection. Everything is there, just the accents are different. It has a little bit less of that musk, and it's more soft, I would say. But altogether, I would say it's almost the same like Intense Cafe. But again, since I am such a big fan nowadays of this DNA of Intense Cafe, I want to have the original. And since we're talking about Montale, let's talk about one of the fragrances that I associate with gold. And the name also suggests that this is a gold flower, and gold flowers, sorry. it smells to me like gold because it gives me that festive mood somehow. This is a very heavy tuberose type of flower, type of fragrance, but it's mixed with iris. It's not mentioned in the notes, however, I can definitely smell here some makeup-y, powdery vibe. For me, this is like a powdery tuberose. This is how it smells, and you could ask why is it festive for you? I don't know. For some reason, this fragrance definitely gives me the associations with gold somehow. I don't know, maybe it has some amber, or it has something that makes those flowers golden, definitely. It is quite heavy, I would say. Let's say when I sprayed this fragrance and sat in the car with my husband, he opened all the windows because he said I cannot tolerate, it's just too heavy, it's just too loud. So be careful, don't overspray like I did. So be careful with the dosage. But again, this is a fragrance that somehow creates a festive mood when I smell it, because it gives me the associations with these gold flowers. Sometimes Montale can smell a bit synthetic, but this one doesn't smell synthetic to me, which is very, very good for Montale. It is quite linear. It's like a stable fragrance that smells the same. It doesn't change during the day, but what I can smell from the initial blast is what I like. That's why I have nothing against that. So the next fragrance is also from the same category as a golden flower, because it gives me the same vibes. It's also like a grand fragrance. It's a fragrance from some grand, I don't know, you can call grand ball, let's say. This is a fragrance from Xerjo family. It's Sospiro. I think this is something old. It's called Capriccio. It's a discontinued fragrance, but I'm sure you can still find it online. I love this fragrance. I just love it because this is a mixture of Narciso Rodriguez, like the black one, the Eau de Toilette, in a black rectangular bottle, with Angel by Terenzi. This is something like, it's a mix, and this mix is adorable because it's also a bit powdery for me. But for me, this is again a very festive type of fragrance, because it's like you are going to have some grand celebration of something, like grand ball. That's why I included this fragrance to this video. I wouldn't suggest this fragrance for young girls because it smells quite grand, let's say, but not like grandmother, but like grand. You need to be probably at least 25 plus, right? This is how I see this fragrance. Probably because of the Narciso Rodriguez mask that I can detect here. That fragrance for me is not like girly. It's not for girls. It's definitely for someone who is 25 plus. And this one as well. But altogether, I would say it's a very high quality fragrance with nuclear, longevity and projection, so be careful, don't overspray with this one especially. The next fragrance is from Ajmal, and this is quite a budget fragrance. It's called My Wonder, and this is a fragrance that they have released recently. It's something new. I bought it offline, not online. I tested it. I walked with it around the mall, and then I came back and purchased it. It's again not an expensive one, but it smells very festive to me, probably because I used it during my visit to Grand Mosque here in Abu Dhabi, and that's why it also creates this illusion of grand something, like this fragrance. It's like it anchored with that particular picture of a grand mosque, and the mosque is grand and everything inside is grand. It's amazing, it's white, it's so beautiful, it's huge, and the materials used to decorate it inside and outside are superior, and this chandeliers that you could see there, the carpets that you could see there, they are all grand, I would say. That's why when I think about the fragrance, I straight away have that picture in my mind. But altogether, the fragrance is a mixture of citrus notes with amber. It's a bit golden, it has that golden vibe. It has some musk, I believe. It has that oriental vibe, definitely. This is pure oriental type of fragrance. And it suits that particular place. It suits when you go to the mosque and when you see that amazing architecture. So altogether, I would say this is also one of the fragrances that give you the vibe of something grand, but not grandma. The next fragrance is probably one of the lightest among all today's fragrances in terms of it is quite citrusy. But I would say this one also quite citrusy, but this one is even more because it gives me the associations with oranges. It has the word orange in its name. It's Maison Lancome Oranges Bigarades. And why oranges? Why I included this fragrance here? Because oranges give me straight away association with New Year, because every New Year my dad used to buy oranges. For us, it was like a New Year fruit. Sometimes people associate New Year with mandarins, but in my case, it's definitely oranges. This is a mixture of bitter oranges with sweet oranges and some black tea. It has some neroli, definitely a very beautiful neroli. It has some vanilla because it's kind of sweet in the base. Altogether an amazing, very effervescent, very sparkling type of fragrance that I can see ideally during the New Year holidays, because again it gives me that associations with the sparkling, juicy, orange, bright, sunny oranges that I used to eat every New Year when I was a child. And the last but not least for today is also a fragrance from Maison Lancome, and this is Oud Bouquet. And this is a fragrance that also gives me a very festive mood, because I can smell here the praline, the rose, oud and saffron. And I think saffron is the ingredient that gives me that sparkly vibe here. And more than that, this fragrance, when I smell it from the people around here in the UAE, I normally, usually I smell it from, I can smell this fragrance from men more than women, and they're wearing this white candoras, very like crispy, clean white candoras. Normally these are young men. And normally I can smell it in the malls with a very bright light, and that's why it also gives me that vibe of something festive, some evenings going out and something like this. It's an amazing gourmand type of rose. Before I used to smell here only praline and rose, but now I can definitely detect lots and lots of saffron. And I love this fragrance even more. It's like I newly discovered it again, like rediscovered this fragrance for me again. I love it. It's amazing. It's very long lasting. It's a bit smoky, yes, it is. But the smoke here is very subtle. It's like, it's a perfect amount of smoke here. By the way, and here in the Noir Exquis, it's a bit smoky, but smoke here is also very subtle, not too much. This video most probably will be released and published during the Christmas holidays, so if you celebrate the Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. I wish you all the best, the health and the wealth. And if you are celebrating New Year, like the forthcoming New Year, Happy New Year. And I hope to see you in my next video, the most probably New Year in 2023. So see you there, guys. Bye.